Hey, I'm Ellen Silm with Stories from the Earth, and we're here coming at you, well, not live because you're going to watch this after the fact, but we're at the Medicines from the Earth 2025 conference in Western North Carolina, and I am sitting with one of the presenters, Jim McDonald. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Jim, and how long you've been involved in this organization and where you come from? And
I am an herbalist. I live in Michigan. We like to show people where we live. So I live about right here in White Lake. This is my first time at this event. I'm so happy. I've known about it for a long time. And Caitlin contacted me and was like, would you be interested in coming down? I'm like, yeah, of course I would. Because plant people, like I'm going to be around a bunch of plant people.
Yeah.
I've been studying herbs for over 30 years and teaching herbs for over 25 years and running a course called Lindera that I run in Michigan for, I think this is my 20th year doing that. The best way to sum it up is, in 1994, I got really interested in herbs and started studying them, and I never stopped. I just kept going because there's always more to learn and more perspectives and more nuance to get into.
So do you have like a property you grow stuff on too, or you teach on site, or are you mostly online based?
I always have in-person courses. I have a lot of in-person walks where we, go out and we just look at stuff and in lawns and woods and swamps and fields and meadows, kind of rain, snow, sleet or shine. I'll be out there doing walks. And I've got a course, again, it's like in its 20th year, and that runs from like April through October. So that's like my long course that I do every year. And there's an online and an in-person version of that.
Okay, nice.
And we started the online one during the pandemic because we need to make a living. It's cool because it connects me with people that can't, like some people to come to the in-person course have come from Texas. They've come from Colorado. They've come from New York or Pennsylvania. But, no one has come from Australia. And I have students in Australia.
Is that where you learned about the carpet shark you were referencing in your class today?
So the tasseled wobbegong, the carpet shark, I saw like a little picture of it on the internet and a little mini documentary on it. And I was like, that is going to be the new thing that attacks people, because when teachers normally talk about the sympathetic nervous system response and they want to use an example, they say something like, a bear starts chasing you, or a mountain lion, or a saber-toothed tiger, because they want to go back to prehistoric people, saber-toothed tigers, that's what creates the stress response. And I was like, you can't say dogs. No, you can't do dogs, because if you do dogs, someone will have that breed of dog, they'll be upset at you. But I started doing wookalars first, and then I went to Willowaws, and then when I heard about the wobbegong, I'm like, well, W's. I mean, it's fun to say.
And it kind of breaks the tension of
It does, because
illustrates the point.
I said this in class, and this is sometimes because I use a lot of humor in my teaching. If there's funny stories and funny analogies, that funniness becomes an anchor for a concept, right?
Yeah.
So people remember the joke, and then with the joke, they remember the concept, even if the joke is bad, which takes all the pressure off of you. But every once in a while, I've had people be like, but there are really serious things, like this terrible thing that happens in the world, and this terrible thing that happens in the world, and this terrible thing that happens in the world, which I know and I work with. But people are in a class for an hour and a half, and I don't want people leaving the class feeling like, I don't want people in the class feeling triggered because they've experienced some of the terrible things in the world. Unless I come across the Australian who's visiting, who did actually get bit by a tasseled wobbegong, who I don't think would really bite a person unless you stepped on them. Then probably not an issue.
Yeah. In that rare case that happened, you could just make them a special concoction containing all of these herbs and be like, sorry. Yeah. On that note, what all are you presenting and teaching while you were here this weekend? We just did a class with you regarding nervines and stress response.
We just talked about nervines, and the purpose of this class was to be like not thinking about nervines like they're stronger ones for when you're really stressed out and weaker ones when you're only stressed out a little bit, or like you're a kid. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, chamomile, that's an herb you'd give to children, and I'm really stressed out. I'm like, you need some chamomile. Like an example of a chamomile presentation would be when someone is upset about not getting something that they want and they make like a big fuss because they didn't get the thing that they want everyone to know that they're not happy and they don't have the thing that they want. But if you were to give them the thing that they want, they wouldn't be happy because now they're
Still sounds like a kid,
really
but adults are perfectly capable.
about being upset. And it is a really recognizable pattern you can see in children. And then you start thinking about like, what about when I listen to politicians talk? Like, you know, they're just angsty about being angsty. And chamomile is good for that presentation, no matter like who has it or how old they are.
Yeah.
Looking at those presentations makes us think, you know, more qualitatively about how we can utilize herbs. And the way that I use herbs is in an energetic model. It's a very qualitative system as you're looking at like really what's happening with people and how they're like, not just that they have a cough, but that their cough is damper or it's drier or it's more spasmodic. And not just that they're really stressed out, but that they're really stressed out and exhausted or really stressed out and really anxious. So they're really stressed out and they're really worrying a lot, or they're really stressed out and they feel like they're going to vomit. Because all of that additional information that is more than just really stressed out helps us figure out like what herb seems most appropriate for that person.
And I really appreciated that note. Probably, I think that was a big takeaway from the class is don't think of it in terms of strong or weaker. Think of it forceful versus gentler.
Gentle. Yeah. Gentle does not mean weak. And I think about that with people too. You know, gentle people are not weak people. You know, they're just as powerful as forceful people.
Now, we live here and grew up around here and are pretty familiar with a lot of plants around here. If you're natively from Michigan or been there a while, obviously, is there any particular plant up there that we might not find down here that you would want to highlight? It's just like, oh, this is in my backyard and it's a fun one.
I'm not really sure.
There's a lot
because there's a lot of overlap here, which is good because one of the next class I have is an herb walk, and there's enough stuff that I know that I can do a good herb walk. But there's also a lot of stuff here that I don't know, and there's some things here that they look a little bit different. You know, so I'm doing an herb walk, and one of the plants I'll talk about is water hemlock. It's probably the most deadly plant in North America. When I looked at it, I was like, that's water hemlock. And I looked a little bit closer and I was like, oh, the venation is a little bit more branched than what I'm used to seeing. Does it just look a little bit different here? The leaflets are a little bit broader. So I just asked people who live down here and they're like, yeah, water hemlock. I'm like, okay.
Important one to know.
It's an important one to know because a lot of times when people learn about plants, and whether it's wildcrafting for medicinal plants or foraging for edible plants, what people want to do is they want to learn about the plants that they want to use for food or medicine. And that's great. But you also, if you're going to gather wild plants, you have to learn about the potentially dangerous plants so that you don't hurt yourself or another person trying to do something awesome. It's fun and empowering to learn plants. And so like, oh, I get to learn more plants.
What's the other one? There's another one that has a similar, I think people could misidentify by the flower. Is it, that's also not a very good, is it hogsweed? It looks similar to the hemlock.
So there's a plant called giant hogweed. So the thing with giant hogweed is that if it's in flower, one of the identifying characteristics is you'll almost always be looking at it like, because it's giant. So if you're looking down at something that is in flower, it's probably not giant hogweed. There is, however, wild parsnip, which is the same species as garden parsnip, and the sap of that plant is similar to the hogweed sap. And if it gets on your skin, the furocoumarins basically photosensitize you and you get really horrific sunburns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've only gotten into one of those one time. A couple of years ago, I had this rash start, and there's actually even a smidge of scarring on my arm.
Wow.
And I was less upset about the rash and the scarring and more upset because I could not figure out where I got into it. I try so hard to like really be mindful about the toxic plants because I'm taking people out on walks, right? I'm taking people out, retracing my steps the whole, week before, like where could I have gotten into this? I actually went back to different parks. I didn't figure it out. That's okay. It was me and not the student. That's what matters.
Was that your first and only time you'd had that?
It was the first and only time that I've gotten
into that.
A furocoumarin photosensitizing rash on me at all. I would opt to not do it again if possible.
Hoping you're having fun here in Western North Carolina doing all this. You think you'll be back in coming years?
Oh yeah, I'd love to be back.
Awesome.
Like if I get asked back, it's like, oh, that's an easy answer.
Nice.
For sure. It's a beautiful part of the country. And, there's sometimes overlapping people, but there's some people like unique to that bioregion. This is the first time I've seen Corey Pine in a really long time. And he's so awesome. Like he's such a great herbalist and cool human. When I saw that he was on the roster, I was really happy about that. So my website is herbcraft.org. And there is also another website, someday they'll merge together, which is herbcraft.podia.com. And that has all the online stuff because they have all of the architecture to make all of that work. And then if you just go onto like YouTube and you type in Jim McDonald and herbalist, there's so many hours of plant walks and parts of classes and little tidbits here and there, silly videos that we do just because they're amusing to us. I think on the website, there's hundreds of pages worth of writing. I've always wanted to put out a lot of information because I feel like I don't love promoting myself. I do not love promoting myself. I'd rather be like, this is what I do. Like, this is the work that I do and put that out. And the people who, when they watch it or read it, are like, oh, the way that this person explains things or teaches things really works for me. It really makes things click for me. That's the right person who should take classes with me or read more of my stuff or check more things out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that approach. Then you don't have to feel like you're shoving stuff on anybody. You're like, I'm just doing what I do and it's fun and you can take it or leave it. Yeah.
Well, there's so many good teachers, because like if someone's like, whose school should I go to? I mean, and I've had people ask me that, should I go to your school or this person's school? And I'm like, I'm not the right person to ask that question to. It's like, whose way of teaching clicks with you better. And if someone wants PowerPoints, don't study with me. I did one PowerPoint ever in my life and I thought, that wasn't very fun. I don't think I'm going to do those again. And I haven't done one since. And people have said like, well, but you need to do a PowerPoint. And I was like, I mean, if I need to do one, I don't know if I need to teach there because I don't think that doesn't bring out the best in the way that I can share information. And so someone else would do that better. And also like people have different perspectives or they just click with different people and it's okay. There's a lot of great herb teachers as long as there's enough people.
You made it here, so I think that was a good sign.
Well enough here. You keep doing good work and it comes back to you. That's what I hope for.
Yeah.
Be kind to people.
Well, thank you, Jim.
All
It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Toodaloo.